So welcome to everybody that joins us on our recording tonight. We record so that those that can't come on our times at 1 o'clock or 7 o'clock can join in on the recording later on. But also, if you know of somebody that couldn't join but would find anything that we are talking about tonight helpful, please let us know or send them through the link. It's all on our YouTube channel, which is Messy Church NZ. So hopefully you have managed to check out any that you may have missed, because I think they're pretty good. So tonight we are going to be hearing from Mandi and Leane. They attended the International Conference for Messy Church, and so we're looking forward to hearing from them shortly. But just before we get started, let's just pause for a moment, and I'm going to invite Angela to share our devotion for tonight.
Thank you. This devotion was prepared by Carol, so I'm happy to share this with you. It's from the Come and See by Joy Cowley, and the Bible reading I'm sharing is from the Passion Bible, Luke chapter 5, beginning at verse 4. Jesus sat down and taught the people from the boat. When he had finished, he said to Peter, "Now row out to deep water to cast your nets, and you will have a great catch." "Master," Peter replied, "we've just come back from fishing all night and didn't catch a thing. But if you insist, we'll go out again and let down our nets because of your word." When they pulled up their nets, they were shocked to see a huge catch of fish, so much that their nets were ready to burst. They waved to their business partners in the boat for help. They ended up completely filling both boats with fish until their boats began to sink. When Simon Peter saw this astonishing miracle, he knelt at Jesus' feet and begged him, "Go away from me, Master, for I am a sinful man." Simon Peter and the other fishermen, including his fishing partners, Jacob, also known as John, James, and John, the sons of Zebedee, were awestruck over the miracle catch of fish. Jesus answered, "Do not yield to your fear, Simon Peter. From now on, you will catch men for salvation." After pulling their boats to the shore, they left everything behind and followed Jesus. Joy Cowley's reflection is headed "The Depths of Prayer." Most of the time, I exist on the surface of life, grateful for the taste of God in everyday experience, but seldom venturing out beyond the shallows. In fact, this intertidal busyness becomes so normal that I forget what deep water can do for the heart. Then guidance speaks through the clamour, gentle but insisting until it is heard. It is time to push out your boat into deep water and drop your net. And my little boat, steered by a hungry heart, leaves the shore of small concerns and goes out to the deep, deep waters of silence to drop a net into the unknown. I've forgotten how scary it is out here in the realm of unmeasured stillness. I look at my watch. My hands feel lost. My brain scampers like a mouse on a wheel. But gradually, the net of prayer sinks into that space beyond actions and words, where it is so filled with light and peace that I don't want to return to the shore. Except I know that the shallows and the deep belong to the same great sea of life, and are need both for spiritual health. And Joy's thought for the day. Jesus' public life was balanced by times of solitude and prayer. Are we able to take time away from our busy lives to fill up with a deep peace that recharges our spiritual life? These are the other reflections that Carol chose, and I've just been reminded by a priest that we should listen to the prayers of the children. So these are some of the prayers, kids' view of God. God put the wishing star in the sky just for me, by Joshua, who's 4 years old. God is a seatbelt, by Claire, 4 years old. God has a special tracking device that beeps when you're naughty, and he knows who's done it, by Jonathan, aged 9. I saw God's cloud once, and his head was peeking through, by Nadia, who's 4.
It's really cool. So as part of every Messy Masterclass, we are aware sometimes we've got some first timers, some that have never come across Messy Church before, and this might be them exploring. Or it might be that you have been part of Messy Church for a while. So if you just want to listen and see if there's any of these that maybe your Messy Church might need to have another look at and maybe have a little think about. So Messy Church has 5 values. The first is Christ-centered. So Messy Church is a church that helps people encounter Jesus as Lord and Saviour. Jesus is at the heart of everything we do and the reason for doing it. And we're giving God space to change lives. The second value is creativity. Messy Church can reflect the creativity of God and its imaginative, hands-on approach for being church together. It uses hands-on activities to explore Bible stories, to reflect a God of creativity, and to give people a chance to play together. It involves learning with different parts of the brain, body, and senses so that we may be used to it, and it brings our whole personhood into worship. Next one is hospitality. Messy Church is an outward-facing, welcoming everybody to enjoy the hospitality and unconditional love of God. Messy Church is about hospitality, but it's also expressed most evidently by eating together. And it's amazing the conversations you can have around that table with other people. So hospitality. So Messy Church is the church of justice and equality, and it's expressed mostly around the meal tables, but of course in our welcome and in every way we include other people. Celebration. Messy Church reflects a God of joy who wants people to have life and to have life in its fullness. It celebrates a God who is and what he has done, but it's also a place to celebrate every individual and every family. It means noticing every person's place in God's bigger picture of love and the significance of human life. It's saying to each person, you matter, you are loved just as you are. And it's very welcome of any and everybody. Messy Church is a place of celebration of community and people's significance within that community. And the last one, and what I think is actually the hardest one, is all age. Messy Church is a place for adults and children to enjoy together. Every element aims to be relevant and accessible to all ages. All ages is a shorthand for being church for everybody, welcoming all ages, all abilities, learning preferences, backgrounds, level of interest in God, and spiritual styles. It tries to be a gathering of people whose identity might one day, or is growing into, being with Christ and in Christ. We all learn how to love each other and to love God by spending time together, worshipping God together, being a model of discipleship for each other, and letting others be models for us. Although Messy Church is often created around the needs of the families with children, we also need to be aware and be present in the lives of individuals who are at a different life stage, such as single people or people of any age, or maybe people living far away from their families. God sometimes sets the lonely in families and always has. Messy Church as a place for all ages and all stages. So our big event for tonight, we have our two special guests, Mandi and Leane, to share with us. I'm just going to turn my sharing off and I will hand over to you guys.
Thank you, Claire. Good evening, everyone. I thought we might start off with just a brief introduction. So I am Mandi and I'm based in Cromwell. I'm in a regional role for Messy Church in the Otago and Southland area. I'll leave Leane to introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Leane. I'm Mandi's daughter. I'm currently in my final year at Teachers College in Dunedin, so the University of Otago. And I've grown up in Messy Church, being my mum's helper. So it's kind of now just in my blood. And it's just become a big part of me. And I think as a young person, I've kind of been trying to get involved so that I can kind of be the voice for the young people going through Messy Church. So that's just a brief introduction about me.
Thank you. So yeah, just thank you for joining us at this masterclass tonight, where Leane and I are excited to share some of our experiences from the Messy Church International Conference held in London a couple of months ago. So let's start. I will be sharing my screen. Let's see how we go. Right. Can everyone see that? Is that all right? Yeah. Okay, so we're good to go. Right.
So the theme for this year's Messy Church International Conference was called All Together. And what an all together time we had. Definitely an all together time we had.
Sorry, that's me just trying to get through from one slide to the other. Right. With 160 people from 14 different countries, we explored 1 Corinthians 12, verse 27, on how we all make up the body of Christ and what that means as we live out our core Messy Church values of hospitality and being for all ages, all together.
We were blessed with two wonderful keynote speakers, Lorraine Prince and Dr. Sam Richards, both presenting very insightful and informative sessions.
We also had the privilege to meet and spend some time with Lucy Moore. So she's the founder of Messy Church and also the writer of most of the Messy Church books and resources. What made this opportunity even more special was that Messy Church turned 21 years old this year, which means that Leane and Messy Church were born in the same year. So precious moments.
We also had a Messy Church Goes Wild session outdoors. It provided an opportunity to experience the 5 Messy Church values and actions and offered plenty of wonderful and creative ideas.
So Molly had an absolute blast, enjoying all sorts of fun activities and making new friends along the way. Everyone thought she was the cutest, and it was clear that she stole lots of hearts. So before we move on, before we continue, are there any questions so far from anyone? Okay, we will just
Did you
pause every
meet
now and
any,
then.
did Molly meet any other Kiwis there?
No, unfortunately, the other friends didn't make it to the conference. We did manage to get videos from both Australia and UK. So Dr. Dave and from Greg. So that was nice, but both of them forgot Molly's friends at home.
Oh, that's not fair. Yeah, you might just be interested to know that there are Messy Church Kiwis in several different countries across the world now.
Yeah, we have quite a few, hey?
We do.
There's another one in Canada. Yeah, but none of the friends made it all the way to London, unfortunately. So yeah, we will just be, as we go through the presentation, here and there, we will just pause for a moment and just check whether there's any questions.
Whereabouts in England was it, Mandi? Whereabouts were you in England?
It was in London
at
what was it called?
It's the Highly Conference Centre.
Highly.
Okay.
There we go. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, sorry, that was a while ago. I can't remember all the detail.
No,
And that was
that's fine.
that was my second conference that I attended. So yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. Any other questions?
But Finn, you mentioned it being your second conference. Your first one, can you just tell us very briefly what that was?
So that was the Intergenerate Conference in the States. And so, yeah, it just happened to be sort of a back-to-back traveling for me. So it was both of the conferences, so the Intergenerate Conference and the Messy Church Conference were scheduled in the same month, which was quite interesting, seeing that Messy Church, the Messy Church Conference only happens every 3 years, whereas the Intergenerate happens every 2 years. And it just so happened that this year it was not only the same year, but in the same month. So I went to the first one, I came back home, repacked, picked up Leane, and then off we went to London. So yeah, it was a bit
busy time.
hectic. It was quite busy. So if I can't remember anything straight away, luckily I have the younger me that can answer your questions. She might remember a bit more. Yeah. Right, so if there's no other questions, I think we can move on.
So there were so many amazing workshops to choose from, and it was hard to pick just a few. Today we're excited to share what we learned from those sessions.
I attended a workshop called Team Time. So here we were reminded that the team is the heart and spiritual root actually of each Messy Church ministry, and that the team shapes the culture. So the team creates a valuable atmosphere of belonging. We heard that it is recommended that the team regularly engage with 5 core values of Messy Church, just as Claire was mentioning before. And some ideas to do this, and some ideas that they were sharing with us, we would like to share with you tonight. So the first one is to have the 5 core values as part of every planning meeting. So every time your team get together to plan a Messy Church session, that they look at the 5 core values as part of the meeting. The second idea that was shared was to have one person adopt one of the values. So every person will adopt a different value, and then advocate for it at every planning meeting. So every every person will have a value that they will make sure that that's part of, that's included in the planning. Yeah, and then the third idea was to appoint a person to minister the team, really, in the form of coaching and pastoral care. So, yeah, and then they just shared and said that your team is the heart and soul of your ministry, and I think we all agree to that, deserving of careful attention and heartfelt appreciation. So before we move on to sharing the next workshop, that was actually a workshop that Leane attended. Before we move on to that, is there any questions at this point about the team time? Okay, so we will continue.
So I attended a workshop on autism. The organization that facilitated this course was called Alma Autism, which is a faith-based initiative equipping churches to better understand, include, and support individuals on the autism spectrum and their families. So here are some helpful tips we learned about supporting individuals with autism in ministry settings. Understand their identity and preferences. Building relationships is key to this. Establishing a routine is essential. Remember that visual communication is important for expressing their thoughts and feelings. Ensuring physical safety by creating a secure environment in your messy church. This may include providing a quiet space for self-regulation. Prioritize relational safety by staying calm, pairing individuals of different ages for support, and maintaining consistency. Individualize approaches, as not every autistic person is aware of what is expected of them. Facilitate transitional safety when moving from one activity to the next in messy church. Use visuals, countdowns, or gentle reminders instead of shouting. The key thought we considered when welcoming individuals with autism into messy church is to prepare the soil before planting the seeds. The word alma derives from the Portuguese word soul, and the aim is to raise awareness and acceptance, making a difference in the way we support each person's soul to thrive and connect with God in their own unique way. One of those ways is through experiencing stories and worship through our senses, and Alma has developed their own resources through the Sensory Tray Bible books. You can read more about their resources on their website. And just a thought to close with on this topic. When a flower doesn't bloom, you fix the environment in which it grows, not the flower.
Thank you. Yeah, so this was quite, yeah, something to ponder on was, yeah, when a flower doesn't bloom, you fix the environment in which it grows and not the flower. Yeah, so on that, are there any questions for Leane on this topic?
I think, Mandi, you said there was a whole lot of resources. Leane, you saw all of them. Is there any in particular you thought would work really well in Messy Church?
Wow, there's so many. You've got all the how can I say, your Bible stories like Jonah and the fish, and you've got Noah's Ark, and you've got all of those types of Bible stories. But the one, I don't know if there was a picture, but the one that we did was looking at kind of, so it was a tray, and you were looking at as we were doing the story, you would add, for example, something to represent sin, and then something to represent Jesus dying on the cross. And so it kind of tells the whole story of Jesus's resurrection. And I think that one for me would be a favorite.
It's the one there with Molly. Yeah.
It's kind of Jesus' resurrection, but that one was really good. And then you had the other ones that just were how you would tell normal Bible stories, but in a with a sensory tray. But I think, yeah, for Messy Church, that one could work really well. But as I said, there are so many, and it's genuinely an amazing thing. That tray, I think it's not just, I don't think it's just targeted at someone on the autism spectrum. I think it can work by using it as it is, for anyone really. It's quite an amazing thing.
Yeah, and you can use it as part of your storytelling or your celebration time. So instead of just sharing a message, this is another way that you can do it, and you can have different children or people coming and doing all those bits. It's just a different way of sharing. Yeah.
I wonder if Leane and Mandi, if you were to have a look at those resources and pick a couple that would be worthwhile getting for our library, Mercy Church Library, might be a really good resource to have.
Can you remember
we
how
can do
much
that.
they were? Obviously, they'll be in pounds, but no.
I'm on the website now looking.
Oh, okay, that's all right.
Thank
So
you.
Yeah, so each of the tray storybook groups, they're each £15.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we might be able to start off with, if you can pick one or two, we might be able to start off with a couple and then add to them over the years, perhaps.
Yeah.
Thanks for the website, Leane, because that's really helpful. We can go and have a faucet. It's really good.
Another thing we spoke about is for some, if there is someone on the autism spectrum, that some of them tend to put the things in their mouth. So the contents on that tray there are all edible. So you've got rice. I think you've got, I'm pretty sure it's Milo or hot chocolate as the brown, and then you've got chickpeas. So it's all things that are edible if a child does put it in their mouth. So that's another. But all of these things are kind of, you make it yourself, prepare it yourself. So that's another thing about these sensory trays.
That's great.
Yeah. So we were just wondering, perhaps if is there anyone that who has a story to share, perhaps on this topic, or something similar within your Mercy churches? We would love to hear if anyone has a story to share.
We do provide headphones, the headsets, at our church in our Sunday service, but I just realised we should probably have them available at Mercy Church as well. So that's a good reminder. Yeah.
Alex had a experience at Mercy Church last week when I couldn't go.
Yeah. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yes, we had our Mercy Church at Christchurch, Whanganui last Saturday, and we had a family come along, and they had a very disabled daughter with them. I'd only be guessing her age, but her mental age would have been about 3 or 4, I suppose. But she was clearly much older than that. But she was confined to a wheelchair. She could only point at things and say a single word. And she did quite a lot of shouting. So it was quite obvious that for this family, it would have been extremely difficult to go as a family to church. They did tell me that they had been online watchers or participants of our Sunday church for quite some time, for years, in fact, but they've never actually been in the church. So Mercy Church gave them an opportunity to actually bring her along and come as a whole family to church for the first time for a long time. And although they only visited my table for a few minutes, they clearly had fun and were enjoying being together. And even though I think they found it a little bit of an overwhelming experience, but they they seemed to go around and take part in all of the tables, and stayed for the worship, or for the celebration, which involved a story where people were invited to throw coloured bits of paper to add to the stew. It was a story about a heavenly stew, and as different foods were named, they threw their coloured pieces of paper forward. So it was an event that where there were so many barriers to a traditional church for a family like this. But this was one where they could come and enjoy the experience, be relaxed, and take part in it in a very active way. So that's my story.
Thank you, Alex.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Can I
that's
say something
encouraging.
here as well? Well, one of the stories that we've got is one of our families, and it's what Leane was saying about having a constant program, so that the child knows what's sort of going to happen next. And they've been coming for a few years now, but it's mainly been Dad who's brought the 4 children, and one who is autistic, and he roams. He just roams everywhere. You can't have a conversation with him, but he's there. But anyway, last time, the mother finally came. She'd come the very first time a few years ago, and I think she got too distressed and stressed out with the child that she went home. But this time she came, and just watching, the start of the evening, she was standing up. Where is he? What's he doing? What's happening? By the end of the evening, she was sitting relaxed when she realised he was happy, he was serene. Everybody else was just going on normally. He wasn't showing up as different in any way. And it was just lovely to see the mother relaxed enough to enjoy the evening herself, and her boy, perfectly happy. So is that he knows what happens next, and you think, oh, he's not taking any interest, he's not absorbing anything, but we just don't know what he is absorbing as the things are happening around. So it's worth doing.
Well, thanks, Maury. Anyone else who would like to share? So let's continue. Another valuable workshop was on welcoming intercultural ministry in your messy church. The phrase that grabbed my attention was, church should feel like home. A church that is not a family for families is only an institution. So I'll repeat that again. Church should feel like home. A church that is not a family for families is only an institution. So we reflected on the topic, what does it mean to be a good host? And so we looked at a few points. The first was pay attention to the marginalized voices. Second, do things on the level of a spiritual style, not age. And we all tend to do that. I think we do things on age, but they suggest to do it on a spiritual style. Third, it's just something to keep in mind, and this was quite nice when I heard this. It says food is like a welcome flag. And Claire also touched on that earlier, saying that, the best part I want to say is the conversations that happen over mealtime and around the table. And then a very important point, we did spend some time discussing this, is to give permission for different languages. And so here I can testify on that. To be able to speak to others from your own culture in your own heart language makes them feel welcome and gives them a sense of come as you are and feel like you belong. we discussed the topic of cultural perspectives, noting that the same Bible story can be interpreted differently based on these perspectives. And a good example of this is the story of the prodigal son and why he wasted his money. This is very interesting, actually. So Russians say it was because of famine and it was nature's fault. Americans say it's the fault of the son for not managing his finances well. Africans say that it's the fault of the community for not taking the son in. So same story, different cultural perspectives. Yeah, so that was quite interesting. And the answer to how to do intercultural ministry is as easy as be a cloud. So I'll go through this slowly so you can make notes if you want to. So the C is for celebrate our cultural diversity. Celebrate our cultural diversity. L, learn more about one another's cultural perspective. So that's learn more about one another's cultural perspectives. O is overcome our cultural prejudice, blind spots, and inequalities. And then U, unite around our shared faith and identity in Christ. I'll just repeat that. U is to unite around our shared faith and identity in Christ. And then the D is disciple all nations in the ways of Christ. So for more information and resources on this topic and many others, you can visit Roots. And so they are resources for churches. And their website is www.rootsforchurches.com. Right. Do we have any questions at this point before we continue? Okay. So
oh, Mandi, I couldn't get my mute unmuted.
Oh, yeah.
What does spiritual style mean? Like the second point, meaning of a good host. Build your message around spiritual style, not age.
Yeah. So I would say, well, the discussion was around how we focus on ages specifically, but we shouldn't think, I want to say, age-wise.
Yeah.
We should think spirituality and not specifically on ages. Yes, we do need things for the younger children, you know, or the older people or teenagers, definitely. So it's more about, doing it. I want to say the same spiritual level, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
But just then focusing on ages. Yeah. So sometimes we focus so much on an age group or a specific age group. And again, we will talk about that a bit later on, is how that sometimes comes across as that messy church is for children only.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Does that
Thank you.
answer the question?
Thank you.
It could be also the David Signoff spiritual styles, which is, I think, words. So some people might be word-based, so writing. Some people are action-based, so they're the ones that want to go out and march. Symbols are other ones, often Celtic type spirituality. And there's one more which I can't remember.
Okay.
Yeah. The other thing that we did talk about is have the same I want to say message, but have it, and like Claire basically said, do it in different ways.
Yeah.
Because children of the same age group might be, learning better with, say, actions, and the other one will learn better with pictures.
Yeah.
But we shouldn't be focused on age specific,
Sure.
like just one age, but rather the different styles. Yeah.
So
thank
would
you,
it,
Claire.
in some ways, sort of be looking at the spiritual age rather than the chronological age, because some very young, in your group, you've got very young Christians, non-Christians, people who've been Christians for years. So being able to cover all those areas, because a child can often have a deeper spiritual understanding than an older person who's lost it somewhere along the way, or has never heard of the message here.
Very true. Yeah. Yeah.
It's a good insight, Mari.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a very good insight. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
So anything else before we continue? Right.
Right. And following on from the conference, we then had an international key leaders meeting for 2 days where 30 attendees from 14 countries gathered to discuss and explore the insights gained from the conference.
This was an amazing opportunity to gather as a global Mercy Church family to share experiences, to listen to others, find encouragement, share challenges, and make many wonderful friends. I shared in this afternoon session, that we did not plan to dress the same on the same day, but we were good friends, think alike, I want to say. And I can also, this photo confirms that style is the same everywhere around the world. Same style. Well, you can see that we're more or less the same age as well, so that should tell you something. But anyway, let's leave it at that. So from our time together, we heard wonderful and encouraging stories. Germany, Sweden, and Finland, for instance, so they have big growths happening. And Mercy churches in those countries are just blooming. Germany has 400 registered Mercy churches. So the challenge that they are facing is that they only have 3 part-time members on their national team. And that's making it difficult to connect with all those active Mercy churches that they have. Before we go to the next one, any questions on our international meeting? Okay, so we would like to wrap up with telling you about a valuable resource that we've obtained from the UK team, and it's called the Self-Review Toolkit. You can find it on the Mercy Church UK website. I think Jocelyn already sent out the PDF document. Is that right, Jocelyn?
Yes.
Yeah, she did. Yeah. Okay. So so this toolkit is a wonderful way for teams to just ponder and take a thoughtful look at their own Mercy Church and see how they can grow and improve. So we would like to highly recommend having a look at the tool, and you don't have to do all at once. You can do maybe with every planning meeting that you have, just little bits at a time, or you can have like perhaps like a team weekend or a team day, or team building, or just a separate like a team meeting where you can work through the document. But really a good resource to use, and we will highly recommend that.
And that brings us to the end of our sharing session with you. What an incredible experience it was to represent Mercy Church New Zealand at this year's international conference. We returned home feeling inspired and encouraged with a new list of friends. Plus, we enjoyed enough English breakfast to last us into the next conference.
Yeah, it was yummy, but yeah, we had plenty of that. Yeah, we would just like to extend a heartfelt thank you to our national team for selecting us as delegates to represent New Zealand. We also appreciate and want to thank each of you for your prayers and support during our time away. So before we hand over back to Claire, was there any other comments, questions, or something that anyone would like to share at this point?
Not questions, Mandi, but just to say that you can catch the enthusiasm, and I think sometimes the messy teams need to be inspired and spurred on, and also reminded. Yeah, thank you, and we'll look forward to thinking about what you've brought more and researching through some of those websites. And the toolkit looks really interesting too. Thanks.
Thank you, Jane.
Thank
you. So Claire, I'll hand it over to you. I will stop sharing my screen now. I think you had a good look at Leane and Molly and me, so let me stop sharing that. There we go.
Cool. And I'll flick over to mine. So thank you guys for sharing today. It's been fantastic to have you sharing. The next thing we are going to be sharing about today is something I actually shared about at the last masterclass, and I got really enthusiastic about, and I got a few of you really enthusiastic about it as well, but unfortunately I was a bit previous. So what Messy Church UK have done is they have started this research program for Messy Momentum. They did some research and surveys and realised that about 50% of the Messy churches in the UK didn't have anyone aged between 12 and 16. And that's something that we can actually identify here in New Zealand for some Messy churches as well. So they have managed to get some funding from Church of England to do a 3-year project. The first year has been listening to different people, trying to figure out where they're at, what are some of their attitudes, and some ideas. And then they have had a listening exercise and done all that sort of thing as well to try and get from youth, from parents, from people that are inside the church, people that are outside the church. And they've come up with this great document, which is available on the Messy Church UK website if you would like to go and have a look at it. And then they're now into the second year. And the second year is basically where they have set up 6 different ways of being involved. So at the end of the last masterclass, I got very excited and invited everybody who was wanting to be involved, who was interested, who maybe had that missing demographic or needed help with that particular demographic, to contact them and sign up. Well, unfortunately, because the research funds are for Church of England and just with time zones and things, they're doing online training and things, it can only be UK churches that are actually involved in the research they've got. But they have been very good with sharing some of the ideas of how they are actually going forward. So they have chosen to offer 6 different ways that any churches that were wanting to sign up could get involved. And so they've shared these, and they're willing to share with us resources or ways that we could, if this stands out to anybody that you want to give it a crack, you're very welcome to contact us, and we can help you maybe have a try of something that's a little bit new. So they're very different. So some of them are just all ages involved in all aspects, right from planning to other things as well. There's a separate Messy night for youth, using some of the Get Messy basics material for in between for the youth. There's things like providing a table for teens or a youth lounge for teens. That's a bit of a pick and mix type one. There's also co-journaling, journeying, which is a mentoring type one, a gathering, just putting different ones together to work together, maybe the youth from maybe 3 or 4 different messy churches together. And there's a, if you've got an idea, we'll support you one. So that's basically the very short version of the 6 different ones they've got. All of this information is on the UK Messy Momentum website, and there is a very good video there as well. It's about 25 minutes long, which introduces them and talks a little bit more about them. So basically, what can we do here in New Zealand? Because I know there's a few of messy churches that we've heard from that wanted the answer right now. This was the thing that they were wanting right now. Well, the research in the UK is going to take another 2 years. It's going to involve a lot of surveys, a lot of data, a lot of feeding back, a lot of applying and reflection and so on. And the total answer is not going to be for another 2 years when they put all that data together. But what they are going to do is share with us the stories along the way. So ways that people have tried things, they're going to share with us. They're going to give us some testimonials or some things that may have worked really well. So we're able to access the ideas and resources, and we can hear what's happening as they go through the research. But the other thing I want to encourage us to do is ask for help. We do have a network here in New Zealand, and we do have access to this research from the UK and connection to people in the UK. So if this is your messy church, that maybe you've got not that many kids between 12 and 16 or either or on the age range on either side. Or maybe you've got a group of kids that are sort of coming through into that age range and you want to set it up well for them. You want to make sure that you can keep them connected to Messy Church and then keep their family connected as well. If you're really wanting to focus on their journeying with God, their discipleship, then give us a yell out, any other national team, and we'll do a bit of a heads together and figure out what can do best for you and how we can actually help. Most of the things that they have suggested are not short term. They're not a magic bullet, much as I really wanted that. They're things that are going to take some time. They're things like relationship building. They're things like trying something to see if it works or not. It might be doing some training, particularly they've got some youth organisations in the UK that they're connected to. We're figuring out if we've got them in New Zealand that we could use. It's different ways of doing things that are connecting to people, which is what Messy Church is all about. The other thing is in New Zealand with your teams, have a little think about, do you have older kids and teenagers involved in your planning? Do you have them involved in what you are doing? Is there a focus on being intentional about making sure that each age group is included? Sometimes it's very easy to think about the young kids. Sometimes it's harder to think about the older kids. There's a lot of teenagers that their spiritual style is action. So that means they want to be, they'll be part of marches or movement, or they may not be the ones that are sitting down writing or thinking or creating, but then they might be. So who are your kids and who are your teens in your Messy Church? Have you talked to them? Have you asked them, how could this actually work for you? Are they ones that want to be involved in team and helping? Is that how they express their spirituality? So talk to them. But also when we're doing this, remember that we do have a lot of different ages as part of our Messy Churches. Maybe do the same things for the older people. How can we actually make this a place where you can worship, where you can connect, where you can be your best as part of Messy Church as well? So it's a great chance to actually stop and have a look at our Messy Church, maybe as part of that review, looking at each of the values, thinking about our different people at each stage in Messy Church. How are they involved? How can we help them? How can we connect to them better? So it's a great challenge for us. So if you are somebody that would like to have another look at the Messy Momentum, there is a lot of stuff on the Messy UK website. It tells a story of how they've got to where they are. what the research is doing, where they're hoping to make it to transferable ideas after 3 years for the Church of England. That's why they got the money. Yep, there's heaps there for you to have a read if you want to, or contact us if you would like some information as well. And we would love to share some ideas with you. Next up is Alex is going to share about the charitable trust. Alex, are you there? Yep.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, good. Thank you. Just want to share about the All Age Connect Aotearoa Trust that's been formed by the national team as an oversight body, a legal entity, to enable us to act responsibly in terms of the resources that we oversee as the national team. The trust was formed with the encouragement of the Bible Reading Society or Bible Reading Fellowship in the UK. When Jocelyn and I were at the national conference in the UK in 2019, at the international gathering, Richard Fisher, who's the head of the BRF, encouraged us and other national groups to think about creating an entity to be their sort of an agency body in their national for their national territories. So taking that on board, we took the step of forming a trust, a charitable trust. It was quite a long process because there were regulatory changes happening in the wider world that we had to take on board. But anyway, we formed this trust. We now have formal recognition by the Charities Commission, by the Companies Register, and by Inland Revenue. The trust will enable us also to seek funding for the work of Mercy Church throughout New Zealand. And I just want to outline some of the things that we need funding for. So next slide, Claire. There are annual costs for the website and for the Zoom by which we are communicating today. We're committed to once a year meeting as a team, the national team, along with those of our regional encouragers who can get along. And of course, we need to have proper financial administration of the funds that we do have. And while talking about the funds, we were the beneficiaries of an annual grant or an annual donation from the UK. I think it was around £10,000 a year, but that funding ended in 2020. So any further funding that we need for projects, we have to raise ourselves. So we needed to have a national body to do that responsibly. We also use our funding for the purchase of resources for our library, plus the costs of operating the library. And we're very grateful to Carol Lewis for the work she does in looking after the library for us. We also like to offer to regions and local Mercy churches training events or gathering events where they can be resourced and encouraged, such as the one that we held earlier in May this year and the two conferences the previous year. May this year we visited 8 different localities 4 in the North Island, 4 in the South Island, and brought training workshops and enabled people to also get an overseas perspective with Dr. Dave from the UK and Greg Ross from Western Australia. So all of these things cost money, and the mundane things such as administration, reporting to the Charities Commission, which is a legal obligation, and the administration of our proper administration of our finances and so on. So next slide. So there are some of the numbers relating to our legal status. You might like to take a snapshot of that page. So get your camera out and take a photo so that you can have that on your records. And there's our charities registration number, inland revenue number, our company's registration number, and our ASB bank account name and number. I have explored the possibility of inserting a donate button into our website, but there will be an ongoing cost associated with that. And I think it's just as easy to give people our bank account number, and because most people are doing online banking these days, it's quite easy to just save that bank account to your list of payees and give a once a year donation or make it a regular thing according to your means. So here we have it. Thank you for listening. We're up and running now, and we would value and appreciate any support that you're able to give. So thank you.
Just like to say here as well, that's been a massive amount of work to try and get to this point. There's been trust documents, there's been, to get all these little numbers on this page, it's been a trial, especially for Alex, who has done a lot of the heavy lifting on that. So just want to acknowledge Alex in that and just say thank you just to getting it to this point.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I won't say I've enjoyed it, but it's been satisfying to get it done.
I realised I skipped over it this afternoon and just looked at the numbers and thought, yeah, because I've seen them coming, but to see them all together like that was actually, stood out to me this evening. So Carol's not with us this evening. She's got other family things happening tonight. So I will just do a quick through. So Carol looks after our Messy Church Library. And so to get any books out of the library, you just need to email her, see what she's got. She's got all sorts of topics, anything that we think we've pretty much got a good range of all of the messy books. Mana also will get any books in that we don't have, or if you want extra copies, if you want your own copy. We highly recommend the Get Messy material. Well, we do. The Get Messy material. The Get Messy 3 and coming next year is 4 has a special table activity on each session, has 12 sessions in each book, that is specifically focused for youth. So it's part of their momentum thing. It's been put into the Get Messy material as well. Just like they used to have an at-home topic or maybe one you could go wild with, they're putting the youth-focused one as well. And of course, just because it's youth-focused doesn't mean everybody can't have a crack at it as well. So of course, it's welcoming everybody. Also, don't forget to check out the online resources on the BRF Messy Church UK website and their Facebook page. Both have some very good videos available for different topics. So these are the new books, some that Mandi's brought back when she's come back from England that she's picked up from the conference. The Messy Together, that's the new version. It has a chapter in it from Chris Barnett. Carol's just got a couple of extra copies of Messy Does Science, which is Dr. Dave. So if you are interested in adding some very active, which good for teens and young people. From the science, it's an excellent way of adding that into your messy churches. Some of the new additions of the Starting Your Messy Church and Messy Church is available, and the Get Messy 3 there. So if you want to have a look before you buy, just contact Carol and get them sent out. And a new one we hadn't seen before, which is God's Word for Messy People. And from memory, that was 31 Bible readings and reflections that could be used as maybe a short talk or something, or maybe an inspiration for a session if you are that way inclined. So don't forget to get any of those things from the Messy Library. Just email Carol and she'll be able to contact you and let you know how to go ahead. Jocelyn.
Right. Just before I start on this, Alex just reminded me when he mentioned regional encouragers, that we have got regional encouragers around the country. We have 2 in the South Island, and they're both here. Angela in Christchurch, and we've got Mandi in the Lower South. And we have Claire in Auckland. Who else have we got? We've got Mary in Waikato. Yes, so we have got a few areas missing, like the top of the South Island. And yeah, various places around the country we have missing, we are missing out on not having a regional encourager. So if that's something you think you could do, it's really not a difficult job, is it, Angela, Mandi? No, it's really been a reference person for somebody near you who makes inquiries about what is a messy church, you know, how do we get one started, all those sorts of questions, and perhaps inviting them to come and visit your messy church so they can get an idea of what happens. So it's a support person in the area who's a bit closer than, you know, what we are here in Wanganui, if you're down in the South Island or whatever. So if you're interested in being a regional encourager for your area, do let us know. Excuse me. So our next masterclass is happening on the 21st of October. And we're really privileged to have Sandy Brodeen, who will be speaking to us from Australia. She's going to make sure she gets the right times and join in for it with us. And she's going to be sharing about doing communion in Messy Church. And I know that she has all sorts of amazing ideas. Communion is something that, you know, we probably wouldn't do every Messy Church, but perhaps once or twice for a special celebration through the year, we might like to do that. I know that we did one in Rotorua, and it was such a memorable time. It was just such a real blessing. So save the date for that. There'll be other things to talk about as well, no doubt, but that's the 21st of October. Next slide. As a follow-on from Mandi and Leane going to the international conference, we decided that we wanted to offer training days to areas who may not have had the opportunity to have a training day. I know that our vicar in Wanganui, sorry, I've got an echo. Our vicar in Wanganui is quite keen to have a training day here. But if you think a training day in your area might be just what you need to encourage your messy church or some neighbouring messy churches, please let us know, because you know, we want to be as available as we can and share the resources and share the wonderful word about messy church. And next slide. Now, this is just a reminder, if you could have a look on the Mercy Church website, our New Zealand Mercy Church website, check out the Find a Mercy Church and have a look to make sure that your Mercy Church is there. You'll see there's a drop-down menu for your area. Have a look and see if your Mercy Church is listed, and can you please make sure that the contact details and the details that we have on there are correct. I had a Mercy Church contact me after our 1 p.m. Masterclass, and there was things that we needed to update. So it'd be really great if you could help us out by just checking out that the details are correct on the New Zealand Mercy Church website. And that's all from me.
So as we are finishing up our Mercy Church Masterclass, Angela is just going to share something from her recent Mercy Church.
Thank you, Claire. Saturday was our Miracle in the Middle Mercy Church, where we explored the theme of Peter and Jesus walking on water. And I was sharing earlier today that this theme was born out of a journey that I went on with my health back in 2018. I didn't realise that I was about to enter into a journey of stage 3 bowel cancer. And I had this quiet time with the Lord, which I'm going to share shortly. And that became, I guess, a strength and has carried across to what we shared at Mercy Church on Saturday. I shared this prayer with the team, and one of the members was at the prayerful colouring table, and amongst the children there working on their prayers and the pictures that we had, she noted that there was a child who said, please God, help Mum to be happy, and dear God, please help Dad to be kind. And there was that moment of the look between the adults and the adult and the child, of that need that was being expressed. So again, it's hearing the prayers of our children. The journey for me it was about September, beginning of September in 2019. And when my bowels stopped functioning and were dying, basically, there was this night where they also had discovered a hernia, and were in touch with doctors in Australia. And I had a night of just being with the Lord, and really it became a time of gratitude for the life I had, for the parents I had, my 6 brothers and the life I had with them, my darling husband and 5 children and grandchildren, and the ministry that I had been involved in. I was also drawn to Psalm 23, where I got strength, and Psalm 139. It was then that the Lord touched, I suppose, my heart with what I am now calling the ask, seek, knock prayer. The ask and you shall receive, seek and you will find, and knock and the door will be open to you. So I was asking God from my hospital bed that he would come and touch the hernia that I had. And I just had this deep sense of, I could only call it peace beyond understanding, like a blanket of love that just spread over me. And I think all night I was just either journaling or just lying there repeating the 23rd Psalm and the Psalm 139. The operation was on the Sunday afternoon. The Monday morning, the surgeon and I think it was 12 of his registrars and others were around my bed, and they said, well, we can't really understand this, but when we went in, the hernia had regressed. And I just threw my arms up in the air and said, that's what I prayed for. Thank you, Lord. So this is the prayer that was granted me before this journey began. Imagine you're walking along a beach or a path with Jesus. Listen to what Jesus is saying to you. my child, my dear one, I have great plans for you. You are my miracle, and I have created you for great things. Believe in yourself. Believe in the unique gifts you have. Trust me to lead you. You may feel like you are in storms, swamped by the waves, and fearful of drowning in your sadness. I reach out to you and take your hand. I'm ready to lift you up and help you cope in the storm and calm the storm around you. This is a new day, a new beginning. A new miracle is unfolding in you. Take hold of it and walk with me. We can do this together. I had the extra blessing of the priest at the service the next day sharing this prayer and the take-home verse that we had from Mercy Church. And after the service, I had a contact from one of the worship team who I noticed had been in tears in the preparation of before the service. And I noted at the time that her son, who was a teenager at the back on the sound desk, came forward and wrapped his arms around his very shorter mother, and the tears going down her cheeks and spreading to his face. And then he walked back and continued his job. I don't know the situation, but I am trusting that this prayer that I have now shared will bless her and bless those that I have since heard of that can now touch this miracle in the middle and feel their miracle in the middle. So thank you for letting me share that tonight.
But if that's something that you think might be helpful for someone else, you're welcome to grab a photo of that now or contact us and we can send it out later as well. It went round our messenger group before the masterclass, and it had been passed on to several other people that we know that found it very helpful as well. So we pray it will be helpful for you too. I think that's the rest. Yep. So that is the end of our masterclass material. But is there anything else that anyone would like to share, or something that stood out for you while we've been meeting tonight?